I want to talk. I'll have to do a full video on this on why do I dress up like a Templar. What's up with that, Bob? Well, why am I in blaze orange and camo? Why do you go hunting with your grandpa for deer? Right? You go out in the woods and you track deer and you hunt them and you kill them. You take your knife out and you slaughter them. You go fishing. I like to go fishing. You go turkey hunting. You go squirrel hunting. Why do people do that? Because you're reconnecting. It's the religio, the relinking religion. It's almost like a religion, right? You're relinking religio. You're relinking with your past. This is what my great grandpa did. This is what my grandpa did. My grandfather, my father, my uncle taught us how to hunt and live off the land, right? And that's what you do. You go back into the woods, you go back into nature, you go back in to reconnect with what you are, your cultural heritage, just like the Native Americans. And we've seen through the tragedy of the Native Americans, we've seen what happens when people lose their culture. And we see what happens when they're given toxic versions of religion and philosophy that are counter to their warrior spirit and warrior culture. You see it all over Native American reservations to this day. You see what happens. And as they're pushing all of us, not just the Indians, not just the Native Americans, they're pushing all of us onto reservations. We're all on reservations now, just in case you didn't know. I mean, you can go up to Indianapolis and you see all the African Americans. They're on reservations for damn sure. And we're being pushed on the reservations, and we're being pushed so we don't have a culture. Because when you're on a reservation, other people give you your culture. They give you your religion. They give you your way of thinking. And that's why you have people around here. You go out and hunt. We go out and fish. We go out in nature. We want to maintain our culture. So in Norway, a lot of Norwegians, they are reconnecting to their Viking past by donning the garbs and clothing and gear of their ancestors. And they go out and hunt. They use swords. They learn martial arts through the Viking way. They throw axes. They use bows and arrows, everything like that, because they're trying to reconnect. They're religio. They're relinking to their ancestral past because they see their culture being stripped all away from them. And they, like us, see us being pushed by the globalist cabal of Marxism and socialism. They're pushing us all into these reservations so that we can be controlled by them, just like what happened to the Native Americans or what's happened to the Hawaiians. How many Hawaiians do you know around here? I always ask them, why would you leave Hawaii? And the Hawaiians say, we can't afford to live there. They're being pushed out of their ancestral home. And like I told those Hawaiians, you might want to fight back against that. And I'm telling myself, you might want to fight back against that. So when you darb like blaze orange, your hat, and you go out with your grandpa's gun, and you go out and hunt deer, or you hunt turkey, or you hunt squirrel, or whatever you hunt, and you take the knife that was your dad's or your uncle's, and you even wear your great grandpa's hunting coat, you're reconnecting to your ancestors. You're reconnecting. That's what you're doing. You go hunting or you go fishing, or you're like the Norwegians. You go into this reliving like your ancestors did. This is what you need to do to counteract all this negativity. So in my case, back to me, I'm a Christian. So that's centuries ago, the Knights Templar were reformulated into a different group by Baron von Hun. And that's a whole different lecture, but the founders of the modern day Knights Templar kind of saw into the future where people are losing knightly virtues and Christendom and a more positive Christendom and positive male role view. And that's what the Knights Templar give you. It's the same thing as the Norwegians who look like modern day Vikings when they go out in the woods. Or you dress up with your grandpa's gear and you go out and hunt. Same thing I'm doing. I do all the above, but I'm going out for my ancestry is more like from Christendom and knighthood, and I'm reconnecting. I'm trying to throw off this globalist, socialist wokeism that they're trying to pump into your head through every avenue they can find, religion or not. I'm saying, no, that's not how religion or Christianity should be. That's not your role model of male role model. I'm trying to reconnect to the more idealized, which I understand it did not exist in its entirety, but the Knights Templar are like alchemists. They're trying to distill out of all the dross of Western Christian knights, and we know there's a lot of brutality. They're trying to distill like an alchemist out of that. They're trying to draw out the pure symbol of the virtues of Christ into yourself. That's what they're trying to do. And that doesn't mean you're weak. No, it means that you have knightly virtues that you will extol, protecting orphans and widows and women who cannot protect themselves, protecting, anything around you. That's the knightly virtues the Knights Templar of the modern age are trying. They don't always articulate it this well. They're trying to pull out, like an alchemist, they're trying to pull out of all that they're trying to distill down the pureness of Christ, of knightly virtue, the ultimate essence, the quintessence of the essence of that. They're trying to draw it out, and they put it into you. Because we understand that if you look at the history of knighthood, it's not always very pretty, but there are virtues that should be extolled within them, and that's what they're trying to do, is pull that out and put it into yourself. That's why I dress up like a Templar, to put it in modern parlance. So I just want you something to think about all that. When you see all the problems in the world of, wokeism and social Marxism and authoritarianism and crushing of freedom, and all of us being shoved onto reservations where we're not allowed to have our own culture. You're not allowed to even have your own self-identity. If you act this way, there's something wrong with you and you have to be changed. This is exactly what happened to the Native Americans, to the Shawnee and the Cherokee and the Iroquois and the Sioux, and all these the people of the Pueblo people, the Navajo, the Comanche. It's the same thing that happened to them. They're doing to all of us right now. That's why it's good to go out and hunt in the woods and reconnect to not only your ancestors, but the warrior ancestors of the people who were once on this land, and who knows, maybe they'll come back to this land. That's why I dress up like a Templar, because that's the worldview that I connect to. You connect to a different worldview, and that's fine. You may connect to the Norwegian worldview or the Viking. That's fine. You may connect to a pagan worldview. That's fine. I connect to a Christian worldview. That's fine. Or you may connect to your religion. Your religio is to be in nature and to hunt like a hunter of 300 years ago. That's why people do what we do. That's why I dress as a Templar. They dress up like Vikings. That's why you go hunting. I'm just trying to show you, because all of us are subconsciously trying to keep ourselves off these modern day reservations that they're trying to shove us all on, because you can only go to the tragedy of any Native American reservation in the United States, and you see what happens when your culture is ripped away from you. You see it. You see when they give you a toxic version of Christianity, and they give you, nothing to do. They destroy your life, and then you become an alcoholic and a drug addict. Does that sound familiar? What's happening to the white man all around us right now? These are things you need to think about. You need to relink to your ancestors. You need to relink, and not just, and doing in your mind is fine, but you have to don the garb. You have to relink by allowing yourself the capability of viewing yourself and putting on the garb of your ancestors, because that really gives your mind, you can start focusing on how you lived. That's why Native Americans put on their warrior garb today, because they know they have to do that to reconnect to their ancestors. We're no different than they are. We're no different. We have to reconnect. That's why you put on your blaze orange and go hunt. That's why I put on my Knights Templar outfit. That's why they put on their Viking outfit. That's why the Native Americans put on their warrior outfit. You need to think of this so you can start fighting against being shoved on the woke reservations that they've got waiting for us, because once you get on the woke reservation and the social Marxism, there's probably no way off.